So, I spent the weekend involved in the Revolutionary War. I was blamed for the Boston Massacre, which I didn't do. Somebody else. I took part in the Boston Tea Party. Yeah, I got to throw tea overboard in the ship. It was fun. All manner of shit battles. Benedict Arnold dealt with his ass. Helped out George Washington after he tried to have me hung. And you know what I learned from my whole time there? I learned that it was extremely unusual compared to what other wartime games I've played. Other wartime games, you play the World War II games, you're always in a war situation. You're always in a fight of some sort. Unless you're doing something goofy like raiding a submarine or whatever the fuck else. But all of that is like wartime stuff. It's all part of the war, right? You're always doing something for the war. In the war. It's war, right? And in this, it's weird. So, you have, I was at the Battle of Bunker Hill. It was out in what's called the frontier, right? It wasn't in the city. It was out in the frontier, right? So you go out there, and there's cannons, and dudes lined up shooting at each other, and all this craziness and chaos. And then after that, went to the town, and got a blacksmith a new hammer, because he needed one. You know what I mean? I got myself a doctor in my town, right? Hey, I need a doctor in my town. Perhaps you'd like to go live there. Doing all of this goofy, weird side shit that has nothing to do with the war. Because life continues beyond that. It's not all wrapped up into the one thing. See, the people on the left, they like to wrap everything up into one individual thing to make life simple for them, right? It's why they came up with identity politics. It's so that they can go, I'm a woman, woman, right? You don't need to think beyond woman. It's just woman. Everything goes back to that. Everything springs from that. It's all encompassing. It is the source. It's the alpha and the omega. It's just that one aspect of identity. That's how identity politics work. Right? That's why they came up with it. They have to dumb things down to as small of a fucking amount of possibilities as they can so that they can fucking wrap their head around it. The single aspect. Can't think beyond that. So they think of war as it's war. It's a bunch of people shooting at each other on a battlefield. Right? And the right, they're just romanticized about it too much. Watch too many goddamn movies. You think that's just how this shit happens. It's not. It's not how it happens. I have said that we have been in a war now for a good year, if not longer, and I still hold to that. You might not see the ground troops moving and running tactics and all sorts of maneuvers on each other, but I see it because I understand what it looks like when people fight. Not fight, but fight, right? We have to involve our thinking. I'm seeing all the same things happen now that I enjoyed playing in the Revolutionary War this weekend. Manipulation of the media. Another video where I talked about that. Boston Massacre. I was being set up. The newspapers were saying I did it. I didn't do it. So we paid the newspapers to tell the truth. Well, now I go out and kill a shit ton of redcoats, and the newspapers go, there's this maniac running around town killing redcoats. That's awful. And I go up to that guy and go, don't say that. I pay him a bunch of money and he goes, and then nobody's worried about me anymore. I was bribing them to tell the truth. Now I'm bribing them to lie. But I'm at war. Right? You know what I mean? A lot of the same shit is going on. But the funny thing is that the Continentals, right? They knew they were at war long before the British knew they were at war. You know what I mean? Because they had decided that they were at war. They had decided that they had their own land now. You know, you had a generation of people at that time that had lived their entire lives. Born, grew old, and died on that land and no other. Right? It was their home. And they had this person across the sea that they had never lived under their rule before, really, that they had known of. Now all of a sudden he's putting all this unruly shit on them. All this unfairness. He's just crushing them. Right? They said, fuck that. We're not dealing with this anymore. We're done. And they fought back. And they had decided first, we're not dealing with this shit. And it led to war. Hundreds of thousands of people dead. The most brutal shit. Seeing people get hit with cannonball, man, that's just some brutal shit. And it was interesting to, you know, have the character that I'm playing as interacting with, you know, General Putnam and shit like that, like these great leaders, Sam Adams, Thomas Jefferson, so on and so forth. And he's looking at him and saying, you know, well, he's, you know, he doesn't like killing, right? He's native, so he's above all that shit, right? There should be a peaceful solution. And he proposes that to every fucking one of them. Isn't there a better way to do this? And they all essentially say, well, yeah, the king could just go away and leave us be. But that's not going to happen. So it's war. We asked him to go fuck off. We declared our independence from Great Britain. And they said, no. And we said, fuck you. Make us. I don't think we're at the fuck you make us point yet. I don't think we've really hit there. And I think that's the reason why people don't think that we're currently in a civil war. We could go through the entirety of the Civil War, not really an actual battlefield shot be fired. You don't need to have people line up anymore on a field and shoot at each other to have a war. It doesn't need to go that way. You just have to crush your opposition. Right? Take away their means to communicate with each other. Tell them that they're just bad people no matter what. Crush their spirit. Crush their will to fight back. We're going to see a lot of heavy-handed shit go on. Because the people who are trying to make this country the way they want it to be, they're at war. They've been at war for 4 years now. You have to really understand the mindset. It's become an old joke at this point, but it's not funny. The left thinks the right is evil. The right thinks the left is stupid. Stupid people can be rationed with, at least to some degree. They can be taught, right? They can be reasoned with to some degree, right? You don't just arbitrarily kill stupid people. I can argue the validity of that is a good choice or not. Nevertheless, it's just not something we do. We don't go around killing stupid people because it's not right. Rather educate them, make them smart people. Evil people, what do you do with evil people? You either find a way to get rid of them, or you suffer their evilness. It's really the only choices. Do you make evil people good? How do you make evil people good? Berate them and just continue to tell them how evil and horrible they are, and then all of a sudden they'll go, well, I don't want to be that anymore, I guess I'm good? Oh, it's when they obey. That's when evil people become good. When they obey, like all the other good people do. Yeah. I don't even know what I'm fucking talking about at this point. Jesus Christ. I'm just meandering down this fucking dark tunnel. And they had different men back then. Hard men that were willing to make hard decisions. Men that said, yes, I understand this is bad. And this is brutal. It's awful. It's terrible. This is a fucking nightmare world we're living in. There's no other choice. So we do the best with what we have. And we hope for a better outcome at the end. Nothing but men like that back then. And we all still remember their names to these days. Imperfect men. The first thing you hear from Benjamin Franklin in that game is a treatise, however you say it, on why it's better to fuck older women than younger women. It's about a 10-minute long speech. I fucking kid you not. They actually programmed into this video game a sexist 10-minute long speech, Benjamin Franklin, about why it's better to fuck old women than young women. And it's fairly graphic. Yet he's one of the architects of a foundation for governance that lasted over 200 years. A form of governance that brought this nation into being from the youngest nation on this planet to the most prosperous ever in history. And I'm at a point now where I wonder to myself, perhaps maybe it was those flaws in those men that helped them to understand how to get things good. Maybe you have to know the darkness well enough to understand how to fight it in yourself. Right? Maybe Benjamin Franklin can not only think it's really good to fuck an older chick, but also think it's a really good idea for people to just be free. I don't want a world where there's only good people. I don't. It's boring. It's fucking boring. And I certainly don't want a world wherein I have to pretend like I'm always fucking happy and everything's always fucking wonderful as the people around me sit watching me to see if I say a dirty word or not, or if I have an impure thought, so that they can then cancel me and ruin my life so that I have few other choices than suicide. right? If no company will ever hire me ever again because I voted for Trump, what do I do? How do I live? How do I survive? If I can't ever earn money again legally because no one will hire me because I was a Trump supporter, what do I do? I got two choices. Suffer and die slowly. Just end it all fucking right away. Provided I want to stay a good person, right? Something tells me that the good people on the left are about to do everything they possibly can to turn as many good people on the right into the evil horror that they actually think that they are. Desperation does that to people. Makes them animals. When you can't eat because you can't get food, when you can't feed your children, which would you rather have? What would you rather see? One of your children starve to death in front of you because you just can't do anything to help them? Or would you rather strangle a stranger to death to take their food? With your own bare hands. Which would you rather see? The light go out of a stranger's eyes as you choke them to death for food to feed your children, or the light go out of your child's eyes as you just sit there and hold them and they die because they can't eat. A lot of people weigh those decisions and they don't give a fuck about strangers anywhere near as much as they care about their kids. We're going to make a lot of desperate people in this country. And from what I understand, there's a couple of thousand desperate people in a caravan heading our way, expecting a better life. I don't think they're going to find it. I think they're going to come into the country and find a country torn by hatred and anger. And a lot of it's going to be directed at them. Man, I don't see things going well. I don't see unity coming at any point soon, because you have half of the country saying we would like to have things the way Donald Trump kind of said that he wanted to have things because we were successful in and we were getting wealthy, and that was awesome. And we were, not having as many problems. Everything was just coming from you guys at that point. And now we've got the polar opposite in every single way. But something tells me that Joe Biden is not going to usher us into the best economy that we've ever had in history. I don't see that happening. I could be wrong. But, Obama's policies had their 8 years and fucked us into a hole that Donald Trump rocketed us out of. Joe Biden is undoing everything that Donald Trump did to rocket us out of that hole. So we are about to really find out if it's true that it was actually Obama's policies that led to our boom. Because Joe Biden's going to undo everything that Donald Trump did right before our boom. And he's going to put back into place everything that Obama did for 8 years, that no boom. So if Joe Biden puts in Obama's shit and we get a big boom, we can go, wow, Donald Trump didn't do shit. But if Joe Biden puts in Obama's shit and no boom, well, I'd say that's about proof positive that Obama's ideas are shit. Fuck me. I don't even know. I'm bopping back and forth between the past and the future, present. Fucking, I'm everywhere. I have no bearings. My compass is spinning in circles. Normally, I can look at events, piece together the puzzle, see the broader picture of what's happening. Right now, all I see is pieces. And none of these pieces are of the same picture. I've got a whole shit ton of pieces that honestly can fit together any one of a dozen different ways. I can make all manner of predictions about what I think is going to happen in 2 days. But I wouldn't feel confident in any of them. I have no clue. I'm lost. I'm walking around in the dark for the first time in my life. 41 years, and I can't tell what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't like being here. And it wasn't Donald Trump that put me here. I would say I was on pretty sure footing for the last 4 years. Now? No fucking clue. I know what Joe Biden's saying that he wants to do. I know what that's going to result in. But how people react to it at this point, I don't know. I can no longer read the mind of common people. It's closed off to me. Everybody's keeping their thoughts very, very, very close to the chest. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Scary times we live in. Very, very scary times we live in. So, if you want any good advice from me for what to do going forward, I would say this. Every day that you wake up and the world is still more or less in the same condition it was in when you went to bed, hug your kids, hug your loved ones, give them a big old kiss, tell them you love them. Because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I can't tell you anymore. I can no longer guarantee you we're all going to still be here and safe. So hug your kids. Tell them you love them.